It's alright.
You come outside, John, or sitting down. Okay. Put your head on my head.
You're freezing, Dibley.
You're freezing. You are cold. Don't try and...
Don't cry.
Come on, please some water.
Come on, Mr. Debs.
Whilst everyone was concentrating on John, Vic ran upstairs and surprised us all by using his own psychic abilities.
Tim, what are you feeling, for God's sake?
Just leave him, get away, you wanker.
Yeah? Was it Edmund?
It was whoever was down there, but I had to chase him, and I went, and he was scared when I was in here, because I went after him.
Good for you. Did you sense anything in here?
No, I was sent here. I ran up here, and I felt, and it was you.
Vic was certainly picking up on something or someone upstairs and was making him feel emotional. We hadn't managed to catch anything on camera, which was a disappointment. But this investigation had been one of the most emotional ones to date, and there had to be a reason for that. Why had Rick and John both felt faint? Why had Vic felt such a pull to go to the top of the house? And who or what had Stuart encountered in the garden? Maybe we will never understand what really happened to us during our 24-hour stay. Belgrave Hall is a very strange place that certainly has a strong effect on people.
Well, when I first found out we were coming to Belgrave Hall and the stories surrounding the place, I didn't really have much faith in actually anything happening. The stories and indeed the footage of the supposed ghost that they caught on the security cameras didn't convince me in the slightest. So when it came to the vigils, I wasn't really quite prepared for what actually happened there.
As soon as we started, Derek was coming up with names. He was coming up with the three Ellis girls, sisters who lived here for many, many years, daughters of John Ellis. Everything he was coming up with was right.
Things really started kicking off when the seance happened. I have to say that it was totally unexplainable and totally out of crew behaviour, normal crew behaviour for what actually happened.
We feel the energy building to such an extent that the hair on the back of my neck was standing up. I was getting colder. I was watching Yvette's feet lifting off the floor. John Dibley seems to be possessed.
Well, all these things put together, this was the power of what was happening in Belgrave Hall last night in that circle.
Stuart actually saw a ghost. Okay, he hadn't got his camera with him, but regardless of that, I've seen a ghost myself, and after talking to Stuart, I know Stuart saw that ghost last night.
Belgrave Hall is considered to be one of the most haunted locations in Great Britain today. And I found after this investigation, it is.
During any paranormal investigation, it's easy to get carried away with your emotions. Many people did experience some strange events at Belgrave Hall. Were these events paranormal? Someone who spends time evaluating paranormal material is Dr. Matthew Smith.
Stuart has reported seeing something in the garden, and he thinks it could be a ghost. Now, one possible explanation for this is he actually really did see somebody there, but he didn't think it was a person there, so he interpreted this as a ghost. However, what's kind of interesting with this particular report is that he does report that the figure simply disappeared. And of course, you wouldn't expect that if it really was a person there. Again, one possible conventional explanation for that is that when he was watching the figure, he looked away, looked back, and by the time he looked back, the figure had gone. But his interpretation after is that the figure just simply disappeared.
Shit! Oh, bastard!
When we see Vic go off on his own to explore the house, I think this tells us or shows us something a little bit about his state of mind. Bearing in mind that the rest of the crew have been on these investigations many, many times, and of course they all know each other, and often when they do go investigating, they will go at least in pairs. What's happened here is Vic, on his first occasion being in one of these haunted locations, or supposedly haunted locations, has gone off on his own, hopefully to try and explore, and quickly what we see is him being very, very nervous. And eventually he hears a sound, perhaps he sees a light, and he wasn't sure where it was coming from, and we see straight away it's frightened him to some extent, so much so he's quickly wanting to rush back to the safety of the rest of the crew.
Please try and communicate with somebody.
The sequence of events surrounding the seance provides us perhaps with some insight to how people respond to these very unusual experiences. The seance was taking place late at night, again in a location that everybody believes is haunted, so a lot of people might be quite psychologically involved with what's going on. For John, who actually has taken part in these seances before and is usually quite sceptical, on this occasion he's feeling quite emotionally drained. Now, it doesn't necessarily tell us anything about the paranormal. It could be simply how he's responding to his emotional involvement with the actual seance. A separate event is that people hear a bang to the side, and in fact it's Carl, one of the crew, has actually fallen down, as though he's fainted. But again, one possibility is simply, because he's very tired, he has just fallen asleep and fallen down, because we see after that he's actually feeling quite awake again, so it doesn't look as though he's fainted. But also we've had the kind of responses to what's going on here. So what might be quite normal actual events happening, people's responses are to be initially quite frightened, quite emotional, because people are very much involved in the experience itself, involved in the seance. So as seances go, this one does seem to be very, very emotional, and it shows us exactly how people can become very psychologically involved in what is for some people, a very intensive experience. But it doesn't necessarily tell us anything about the paranormal.
Well, last night wasn't a disappointment, wasn't it? I think Belgrave Hall lived up to its expectations. Were you genuinely terrified?
Yeah, sometimes, yeah. In some of the rooms, very scared.
Do you think you'll be able to sleep for a while?
Not tonight, not for a year.
How about you?
I was terrified, and I'll be looking forward to the cleaning bill expenses.
Okay, well, that's it for another Most Haunted. Until the next time, do remember to sleep tight.
Panicking already, look. Are you going to weep?
I'm going to weep, cry and grab onto you.